Welcome back to Gamer-0. I'm your host T Hill. Topic of tonight's episode is action adventure titles to take the top spot from FPS shooters. So before I get into the topic of the night, I just want to let you guys know 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time is when we're going to kick off the Uncharted 2 gaming rounds. It's tomorrow night. Please bring your mic. If you don't, that's cool, but it helps us really build a connection with you. You can ask me questions, I can ask you questions. It allows us to coordinate during gameplay, so it's a good feature. It's a good way for me to, connect with you, subscribers, fans, gamers, all right? So hopefully you guys will join our session and play with us for a couple hours. All right, so let's get into the topic. So I've been thinking about this subject for a while now, and there's been a lot of good stuff that's come about it, but I really wanted to form an argument behind it to say, yeah, this genre could really take the top spot away from FPS. And some of my arguments, and tell me what, this is always just an opinion piece. Let me know what you think. I've just been thinking about this, and this is kind of my bread and butter. So just want to kick it off. All right, 5 things that I thought were very important that the action-adventure genre has really been pumping out. So first one is we've seen more and more hot titles in this genre drop within the last year and a half, more so than we've ever seen, that are just, and they're great titles. Each one is great in its own way and adds so much. So there's a kind of a renaissance of these games, and when I say renaissance, it leads into my next top point, which is new gameplay mechanics that breathe a breath of fresh air into the action adventure hack and slash genre. And if you don't know what I mean, look at games like Bayonetta. Bayonetta is like the pinnacle of fighting mechanics in an action adventure game. It just really is. I mean, there's so much depth to it. I mean, they've got the auto mode, and then they've got the, for people who are diehards and want to learn how to just really be scrutinizing with their combat mechanics. And you can play it. There's so much to it. You can play it however you want. And I think that's great in itself. And then leading into my next point, you're seeing an evolution in the cinematics area. I mean, never before in gaming have you been able to control scenes. Most of the time, cinematics roll out as a direct shot, cutscene, and that's it. And then you go back into gameplay. But more and more, we're seeing this genre push the cinematics to be immersive, to keep you in control. Where sometimes it's quick time events, sometimes it's pretty much the camera adjusts and the control scheme tweaks for that one specific scene to really emphasize what the experience is supposed to be. On top of that, leading into my next point, you've got a larger variety of type of gameplay mechanics in a game. And I'll point out a game that I'm really fond of. It's one of my favorite games, Darksiders, where 1 minute you're hacking and slashing, next minute you're shooting it up with guns, next minute you're flying on a griffin type of beast, another scene you've got a Gatling gun and you're doing shooting from a third person over the shoulder type of view. Then you're climbing, there's grappling. We're seeing such a huge change of pace in some of these genres. I mean, you look at Castlevania, and you're fighting in Castlevania and God of War, you're seeing Titan bosses that would have been played out in a cinematic. You're controlling this. So it's another way of changing the pace and keeping it super, super tight. And then this leads into my last point, which is what we're really seeing is better pacing in the action-adventure genre than any other genre. I mean, you've got your RPGs, you've got your first-person shooters, but none of them really have a story-driven pacing in the game that is at that level. I mean, if you look at God of War, if you look at Castlevania, those are just perfect examples of where the pacing is top notch. It's not just uphill roller coaster or just a straight up shot or long rolls. It's paced where, based on the story and the scenarios, it's really bring you up. Okay, you've been up on a roller coaster for enough. We're gonna bring you down, let you cool down for a second, enjoy the nice sereneness of the story and everything. Then we'll pick you back up again. Just great pacing. In first-person shooters, the story in the single player, it has its fun, but it's really short, and the pacing really, they compress it down because they want you to focus just on the multiplayer aspect. So those 5 things between hot titles being dropped and seeing a renaissance of the genre come no other genre is going through this right now. Another one is the tons of new gameplay mechanics between grappling, deeper combat, being able to control your cinematics in a way that's never before been done in any genre, like it's being brought to the forefront. And then you've got just larger amounts of types of scenarios to experience with your combat, with your mechanics. And then the last one, is just better pacing and story and the overall gameplay, so you never feel bored. So that being said, that's why I feel so strongly that this genre is just like coming to the forefront. Now then there's the whole thing is, well, if that's the case, why aren't their sales reflecting that? Why aren't those sales of these genres and the titles in that genre, the top games, the AAAs in the action-adventure hack-and-slash genre, reaching the title sales of a Modern Warfare or a Call of Duty? There's lots of little factors, but I'm going to break down what they need to do in the action-adventure genre to really get the sales figures to reflect everything else. So, the 4 things I came up with are all about community and a social experience, which is why first-person shooters do so well above everything else, why they can promote great sales. And the first one is a unique, this first one isn't so much towards the social community, it is more about the replay of these games and getting your $60 worth, and that would be playing through the title multiple times and getting a different experience each time. And we've seen with games like Devil May Cry, and now with Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2, where say you beat it on normal, you get all the way through, you get most of the stuff, not everything, most of the upgrades, but not every little thing. Now you can play it again once you beat it on a harder setting with all of those things. That's awesome, because now you can test your skills and play through the experience, differently, because you're starting off scenarios earlier in the game with powers that you didn't have. So scenarios that were really tough, because you know specific move that you really favor, you now have. So the scenario will be different, and then you can play through it on a harder setting with more moves. So that's a great way of encouraging the single-player campaign to be brought more to the forefront. Another one would be co-op story mode. So people are like, well, most people play these games by themselves. Well, it's not because they want to, or even that they want to, they've been forced to. And I think Dante's Inferno, Trials of Lucia, really showed us that could work, that mechanic works. And then you look at third-person shooters, and that can work as well. I mean, Gears of War is promoting 4-player co-op all the way through the story. So why can't an action-adventure do that? I mean, online it's great. I mean, we're pushing towards this social media. So imagine playing, I don't know, a Bayonetta or Castlevania or God of War with, I don't know, another character that would have been sick all the way through. And it doesn't have to necessarily be all the way through. It could be an epilogue, a prologue, just with another character that leads into another story, but very, very much geared towards the story experience. You look at Splinter Cell Convictions. They did it, and it implemented very well. It's a great addition to the story piece. So another one would be competitive modes. Competitive modes are what brings first-person shooters and racers to the top of their sales, because if you're playing a game, it's cool that you can get a 100 or 1,000 or 999,000 hit combo, but that's just for personal wow. But if you're playing competitively and say maybe a 4-on-4, 1-on-8, everyone best man for themselves, like a wrestling game, imagine how tight that would be. You playing as, like, say, Kratos versus someone playing as Zeus or someone playing as Hercules, and they're all just going at it. Just mad fun in a bigger environment. Imagine how fun that would be. And then being on the leaderboard because you're just dominating everybody. That would be sick. Think about how that would do in sales. It would actually make you think a lot differently than a first-person shooter. Because now you're thinking about blocking, parrying, in not just the environment and not just who can get the attack off first. It's how you react to it. So I think that would be a major, major piece for action-adventure games to really get those sales. It's a checkbox that they need to have at the on the back of that box to get those sales up there. And the last one would be post-launch support. If you've been following me, I'm all for DLC, as long as it's not done the wrong way. If it's done the right way and it's fan-driven, saying, hey, man, we want more, give us more, and we tell the developers what we want, and they deliver it, I'm all for it. And that's how you increase the legs of the game. So that way, if it would have only sold like 3 million, well, if you keep giving me new levels, new multiplayer experiences, new campaign experiences, that's going to bring more people into the titles. I think we're seeing this with Star Wars The Force Unleashed 1 really expanded its life. I mean, it was a smaller title, but it expanded its life by having these DLCs, DLC skins, DLC scenarios that you couldn't get in the initial title. That's how you breathe more life into your title. So that's what I have for this topic. I've been really passionate about this genre, and I really think it can get to the very top, up to those 7, 8 million, 10 million units of sales, and be at the forefront. But I think it has a few things it has to overcome first. Let me know what you think. Tell me if I'm crazy and first persons are always going to be the dominant reigning champ. That's possible. I don't think it is. I think we're seeing a renaissance and a resurgence of this genre like no other. Other genres are kind of flat. They're making small steps. But the action adventure is really bringing it up a notch. Alright? So leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. If you like my video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give it a thumb down. Let me know why you don't like it or why you do like it. Alright? So you can always follow me on hiphopgamershow.com. Send me a friend request on PSN. If you want to hit me up on, follow me on Twitter, it's T_Heal0. Just want to continue giving my support out to Hip Hop Gamer. Keep doing your thing. Mad inspiration. One love, and God bless you for everything you've done for me and what you've done for the gaming community. And a shout out to my buddy 9th Gen Hero. Thank you for all the support. Love the convos. Can't wait to get it in with you tomorrow on some Uncharted 2. Alright, that's what I've got for this episode of Gamer-0. I'm your host, T Hill. I'm out. Peace.